What's up everybody, I'm Adam, you're watching the Model AV8R channel, and in this week's Quick Look Fun Flight episode, we'll be checking out an airplane that we've technically featured in this series before. Quite a while ago, we did one of these on the FMS 1220mm Ranger. Well, this is the V2 of that same airplane. There are some significant changes. Let's take a look. The 1220mm Ranger V2 is a park flyer size model. It's light, it slows down very well, and can be easily flown in a tight space. So it's right at home, at parks and schoolyards, as well as sanctioned flying fields. FMS sells this as a ready to fly or a plug and play, which means all the electronics are installed except the receiver. You choose the radio protocol and install your receiver of choice yourself. It is a 5-channel airplane. Out of the box you have elevator, rudder with a steerable nose wheel, ailerons, throttle control, and that 5th channel can flip between the modes on the included gyro. When it comes to features, the 1220 Ranger V2 is intended to be a very forgiving, manageable trainer for somebody brand new, as well as a very capable sport plane for somebody with more experience. Perhaps one of the best features of it is what it doesn't have. There's not a lot of frills, not a lot of options that add a lot of weight. It has a very light wing loading, and that makes the airplane fly exactly the way FMS intended it to. It is very easy to assemble and disassemble at the field. Only takes a few moments to get this thing together and take it apart if you can't transport it already assembled. Has very tough landing gear. You have strong aluminum main gear and a nose wheel strut that is literally a spring intended to withstand the punishment that beginners put a trainer through when they're learning how to land. It is a convenient top loader with plenty of room in that battery tray for the recommended size packs, which are 3-cell 1300 to 1500 milliamp packs, and those, by the way, are very inexpensive to boot. Now, what makes this airplane a version 2 versus the OG Ranger 1220? Well, the original had a one-piece wing and a one-piece fuse, and it didn't have any kind of wing spar, so if you had a crash, the wing would break fairly easily. The version 2 has a fuse that separates into 2 pieces right here and a 2-piece wing that incorporates a carbon wing tube. So the wing is much more resilient, and you can get this airplane apart relatively quickly into a very small package that you can store almost anywhere and transport in just about anything. So that is pretty convenient. The other really big improvement is this one has the Reflex version 3, which gives you some options to adjust it with a phone app if you need to do that, although this one we found to be adjusted perfectly for this airplane. Now that Reflex version 3 has 2 modes. There's a self-leveling and angle limit mode, which is really good for beginners. And of course there's an experience mode, which is just a normal gyro mode for more experienced pilots and gives you a full flight envelope. The other 2 things they did is you can buy this airplane with floats now, and you can get it in 3 different colors. You can get it in the red that you see here, a green, and a yellow that I would swear is orange. When it comes to the assembly of this model, it's very simple. The part count is very low, and the manual does a great job of taking you through what are just a very few steps of getting this thing together, and it's easy enough for somebody new to the hobby to follow. Now when it comes to setup, you do have to install your receiver of choice if you get the plug and play like we did, but it is equipped with the FMS Reflex version 3 gyro system. So we elected to put a Spectrum AR620. It's just a simple sport receiver. It doesn't have AS3 extra safe. We plugged the Reflex into that and utilized the Reflex. We did not feel a need to go on our phone app and make any adjustments to the Reflex. It was set perfectly for this airplane out of the box, in our opinion. When it comes to our balance point, we are at 72 millimeters from the leading edge of the wing with a Spectrum 1300 3-cell pack in the center of the battery tray, airplane right side up. When it comes to mechanical adjustments, we did put the clevis to the push rods of the rudder and the elevator in the center hole of the control horn to give us a little bit more throw on the rudder and the elevator, and we did crank our servo throw up to 120 from 100 on the elevator. When it comes to our expo settings, we are at 100% rates on aileron, 0% expo. 100% rates on the elevator, 20% expo, and 100% rates on the rudder, 5% expo. Pretty simple setup. So when it comes to flight characteristics, there really is only one little kink in this airplane's armor, and that is the fact that being a tricycle gear airplane, it is very good as far as ground handling, very easy, but the problem is you have very little prop clearance and you've got that very bendy spring front nose strut. While that is forgiving in an incident, it also bends very easily in rough grass or tall grass, and you can end up having a prop strike doing that. So if you've got to get out of grass, you need to have pretty short grass, and giving it up elevator, giving it the beans, and getting it off the ground quickly is the way to go, and you can circumvent any problems with that. Now, other than that, it flies brilliantly. It has a very light wing loading. We flew it on Spectrum 1300 and HRB 1500 3-cell packs. You might be able to shoehorn more battery in there, but you're going to add unnecessary weight. Take advantage of what they designed for you. A very simple, very lightweight, very lightly loaded airplane that is just brilliant for both experienced pilots and beginners alike. We'll show you what it can do in our demo, but with that Reflex version 3 and the self-leveling bank limiting mode that it has, it's an excellent first ever airplane for a beginner as well, and not very intimidating at all. When it comes to price point, that isn't intimidating either. $189.99 for this thing in the configuration we have, which is no floats, plug and play, and you have to install your receiver. It's really a brilliant trainer, one of the better ones on the market, and it makes a great sport plane for a more experienced pilot. So if you decide that you'd like to add one of these to your hangar, we'll put some links in the description where you can do just that. When you go through that link, help support our channel. When you do that, Heidi and I appreciate it. Thank you very much. That's it for us. Take care of yourselves. Happy flying. Enjoy this fun flight. We sure did. The Ranger is that airplane that an experienced pilot flies for one flight, and that's all it takes to get it set up, and you're completely comfortable with it as if you've been flying it for years. It's just extremely predictable and stable in pretty much any flight position you put it in. It flies inverted just as well as it flies right side up. There's plenty of power and aerobatic capability for the vast majority of sport aerobatic maneuvers. Here I'm in the self-leveling mode, and you can see I'm putting the sticks in the corners, and it won't let me completely upset the airplane, but as soon as I let go of the stick, it rights the airplane. Each time you see this airplane go from some radical position to straight and level, that's just me letting go of the sticks and the Reflex version 3 doing the work for me. This is ideal for a beginner, and it's something that you can switch into from the advanced mode to get yourself out of trouble. Here I'm setting up for a landing in the grass. Watch how much the front nose strut with that spring moves. On the short grass, you can certainly get away with it, and our grass is rough, but that might cause you a problem if the grass is really tall. I think overall it's a valuable feature, especially for a beginner, but it does have a compromise. The Ranger V2 is a plane that a beginner can grow with and an expert can show off with. Not bad.